Hello, how are you today? We're happy today to have a special guest, spiritual alchemist and international speaker, Tilde Guajardo. Thank you for being here in this space with us in Centro Clara Govela, and it's an honor for me to have you here today. How are you today?
I'm good, Dora. Thank you for inviting me. I've been looking forward to it.
Yes, of course, I know that. I was looking forward to have you here. So as we speak, I'm gonna do some questions so our audience can know you better. Okay. When did you begin this journey in the internet and everything?
Oh gosh, and on the internet, well, the journey actually uh, began back in 1994. I have to go back all the way to 1994. I think I was like 25, 26 years old, and I had my first spiritual awakening then. And that's when it really started for me, I guess. I had reached a really low point in my life. Was having a lot of traumatic flashbacks from my childhood that had caused me to get to a point where I didn't want to live anymore. And in one instance, I just cried out to God in desperation, and miraculously, I had those flashbacks miraculously taken from me. And since then, I haven't had another flashback ever. So what that did for me is that it just allowed me to see myself in a different light, to have hope, and to see the woman that I wanted to become. And as I started to read books, about how much God loved me, or how to manage my anger better, and things like that, I just started to slowly transform myself into that woman, and then still transforming myself into the woman that I see myself as in the future. But really, it was that combined with what is now called positive psychology practices,
Yes.
that I implemented into my life, and that helped me really to go from that anger, fear, and shame to faith, hope, and love. Right. And so that gave me the passion to teach that to other women, or to help guide them into their own power, the way that I had learned how to transform myself, with God's help, from that hopeless woman into powerful, how to turn pain into power, I guess. And so since then, I have just done it in one capacity or another, whether it was leading women's ministries, doing women's events, creating programs for women, and creating a company called Womanars back in 2010, is how I just started putting stories out there and interviewing women who had defined success for themselves. And I found out, I've interviewed probably over 150 women on camera, and hundreds of others over coffee. And what I found is that 99%, 99.9%, I would say, always attributed their success and their empowerment to faith. And it didn't matter what religion it was just believing in something bigger than themselves, and which solidified for me, what I do now, and how important faith is to our not only success, but to our well-being, and how we need to put our spirits first, our spiritual health first.
And why inspiring woman? Why do you inspire women?
Um, I It's just something that's naturally, this fire inside of me, and maybe it was because of how I was inspired, and wanting to impart that same sort of fire in other women, for them to see the power that they have within themselves, so that they can then want to do the same thing for others. Because I think, yes, we're super powerful as individuals, but collectively, when we come together and we collaborate from the heart, we're unstoppable.
Yes, of course. When you work with women in this part of the inner self, is something beautiful. But
Yeah.
you're right. You're right. Miracles exist for me. Yes,
Mhm.
I didn't believe in miracles. I have to tell you that. But somehow, all the things that happened to me very young made me what I am today. And
Hmm.
I am someone who works inner peace with
Yeah.
people so they can find themselves. Yes, they can see what they can do. So we connect in our message.
Hmm.
That's the beautiful thing of this interview, and and it's it's inspiring for the audience. Yes, because what you do inspires. You're
Thank you.
doing something of being grateful. You say today I saw the story that you're grateful because of your birthday, and happy birthday,
Thank you.
and all the gifts that you have. Yes,
Yes,
and I think that to being grateful, it has to be every day, every day
absolutely.
in the morning when you wake up. No, I say everyone has to do that. Yes, like
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
positive habit.
Hmm.
And I want to know, how is a day, uh how is your day when you
How do
wake
I
up?
start my day or when I
How
wake up?
you start your day? Yes.
Well, you know, now, let me go back because I want to tell the story of why I'm doing these gratitude. August is my birthday month, and so I decided to do 30 days of gratitude, in August, just to give thanks for everything for my life. And also to remind people, to be grateful and the power of that. And because I was, I had experienced a lot of um, letdowns leading up to
Yes.
August, I guess, some health issues that came up, relationship issues, whatever, all of that. And so for me, I felt myself kind of getting into a funk, and I thought, I always go back to gratitude. I'm a journaler, but I thought, to speak gratitude from the
Yes.
heart is super powerful. And I think the studies and research have shown, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that, if you do 30 days of gratitude every day, that your immunity improves by 50%, you know, and your
Yes.
mindset, you start waking up differently in the morning. Where I was waking up, a little bit in a funk and thinking about everything that's going wrong. Now I'm waking up thinking about everything that I want to go right. And really you start to see the world differently. So that's one of the practices that I always go back to when I feel myself getting into a funk, and we all do that. We're all going to go through trials and tribulations. It's how we handle them and how we learn to manage them that I think makes the real difference in our lives, and how we choose to show up, right? Because I'm choosing to show up. I'm choosing to be grateful for the little things and even the big things in my life. But when I do that, something chemically and physically changes within us. And I know I'm on day 24 today. And I can
Yes.
tell you, I am not the same person that I was on day one. That's
Of
how
course.
powerful it is, and so for me, it's both for me being selfish, to help me, but to also remind other people, like, hey, what are you grateful for today? What's good in your day today? Because it's easy to get into a spiral of negativity, especially if you're watching the news, or you're hanging out with people that are just always bringing you down or pointing out what's wrong with you. It's easy to get stuck there. So for me, it's both selfishly for myself and keeping myself in a healthy, positive place, but also wanting to remind other people to do the same thing.
Yes, because you have to be well to serve people. If you're not
Absolutely.
well, you cannot serve people. So you have to be well emotionally and physically, and in your mind too, and in your
Right.
decisions.
Well, I can't
Yes.
be talking about gratitude if I'm not practicing gratitude, right?
Yes, of
Or I
course.
can't
Yes, of
be
course.
teaching it.
You're teaching.
Yeah.
You're teaching with all your stories.
Yeah. And I really
What do you
believe we're
think?
leading by example.
Yes, what do you think the world needs today with the wars and everything that's happening?
I think we need to go back to love, and I think we have to define love first and foremost. I think, um, at least in my experience, when I was younger, I had a very warped definition of love because of the experiences that I had had as a child, right? And even in my young adult age, or going through a divorce or whatever, you can just have this very warped definition of love, to where people have let you down, or you feel God has let you down through people because of the way people have treated you in the name of God. And so for me, it's really not only defining love, but being love. I think we need to learn how to be love, how to speak love, how to emanate love, and not that we're yes, we're meek, and we're peacemakers, but we're also very strong when we stand in love, when we speak love, when we speak truth, and when we speak from a healthy place of love. So for me, it's all about redefining or defining love, and for ourselves, what does that mean to me? What does that look like? um, and I really think it's going back to that connection with God or source or the divine, whatever it is that you call that, um, something bigger, than yourself, and figuring out, like, who is God to me? And the reason I say that is because I know when I thought God was angry at me or ashamed of me or judging me, that's how I showed up in the world. That's how I looked at myself,
Yes.
and that's how I looked at other people. But when I changed my perception of who God was, and the way that he saw me, and the way that he loved me, and to actually have an experience with God like that, you know, then that's when my transformation really started to happen. Not only the way that I saw myself, but the way that I loved other people, and have a huge capacity to forgive. It made forgiving people a lot easier. It built up my resilience, that no matter what happened, whether it was health issues or a divorce, traumatic divorce that I went through in 2005, um, I I still believed in love. And I believed, after every broken relationship that I've had, that I have the capacity to love even better, and deeper, because of those experiences. So for me, it's like, let's just go back to love, and let's define that again, and let's speak from that place, learn to speak from that place, and show up from that place as we, you know, look at the world today. It's so divided and so divisive. I really believe might sound corny to a lot of people, but I really believe that if we go back to love, that we're able to sit with people who think differently and believe differently than we do, and find that common ground, to where
Yes.
we find those solutions, by putting aside um, the hate and the division that we're seeing right now.
Yes, of course. I agree with you that human values have to be better too. And I'm going to write about that soon. I'm writing about that, and we'll have the book soon.
Yeah.
And forgiveness for me is one of the things that you have to do first. And
Yeah.
you have to understand that everyone has a story, has their issues to work.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Totally.
don't take it personal. So
Hmm.
when you take it personal, that makes you hate and fight with others, and so you can not have a positive relationship with others if you're like in that mood. So you
Right.
have to, yes, so you have to work with love, of course, because love is part of seeing and understanding the story of
Hmm.
everyone. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I
And
think,
it's an action. It's an action. When you help others, serve others, it's an action. For me, love is an action. When you help others, it's like giving something of you to others with love.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think for me, as I've as I've now really focused in on helping people with their spirituality, to deepen their faith, to deepen their belief in themselves, I I think that love, that self-love is so crucial,
Yes.
because that's where it all starts. You know, that is where you can go to that place, that sacred space, as I call it, and learn how to forgive, others, but also how to forgive yourself. And that for me was probably one of the hardest things for me to learn, is how to forgive myself. Um, but once you do that, it's like it becomes easier and easier to do as the more that you practice, practice doing that, and not only for forgiving, but also letting go. You know, I think
Yes.
for me, at least, what I teach is that, you know, you yes, you can forgive somebody, but have you let go of it? Because that's where the true power is, when you let go of that trauma or that incident or that experience. You know, you let it go and you thank it, and you embrace the lesson. You embrace it as a lesson that you've learned, so that you can learn, grow, and expand, and, you know, go on to the next experience.
Yes, of course. I agree with you. And it's the most difficult thing to do, to forgive yourself. And it's work, not you have to practice, you have to work with it, and you have to let go. Let go and heal. That's
Yeah,
what I say to the people that come with me. You have to heal. And
yeah.
it's beautiful to work with forgiveness. I have to do another book about forgiveness, because because
I
I
know
think it's
that's like a volume one on forgiveness. You
volume
know?
1, volume 2, volume 3. Yes. So that's that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Can I tell a quick story? I'll try to make it as quickly on
Yes,
letting go.
yes, of course,
Yeah.
of course.
So in 2015, at the end of 2015, I was having a pity party. You know, it's Christmas and I was still single, and I was thinking, God, when am I going to find my person? You know, I'm sick of this. Oh, the present for myself under the tree. That's enough. But and I had been divorced for 10 years, right? And so, like I do all the time, and I have these conversations with God that are sometimes, very shocking, because the truth, you know, hits you in the face like it did this time. And so when I went to bed that night and I asked, you know, what is it that I need to let go of? Because I felt like something's keeping me from moving forward, right? And so what I heard is let go. I was like, let go. You know, I've forgiven everybody. You know, from my childhood, blah, blah, blah. And what I heard in my spirit was let go of needing an apology. And I thought,
Yes.
ooh, 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 ooh. I mean, it
Oof.
just hit my heart and my mind, and I just bawled like a baby, because I thought, oh my gosh, I've been holding on to wanting an apology for my ex husband all these years. Didn't even know it. And so I just cried, I prayed, and I let it go. Said, okay. That was December 2015. January, the new year rolls around, 2016. Girl, I start getting phone calls, texts from my exes from high school, all the way back to high school, apologizing. And I had forgotten about the conversation I'd had with God. Okay. I had forgotten, I had let it go. And so I'm telling my friends how these people are popping up out of nowhere apologizing. You know, one person even contacted me from jail through his sister, because he had to tell me that he was sorry. And I thought, how, what is happening? So month after month, fast forward to May, I'm in Dubai visiting a friend of mine there. And I'm there for about a week, and I'm thinking, why am I here? This, I didn't like it, to be honest with you. It wasn't my thing. It's not my type of place. It was like a Vegas on steroids, for me. But I was there because my friend. So we end up going to the Maldives for a long weekend. And I open up my computer, you know, in my overwater bungalow, and the first email that I see is from my ex-husband, and it's an apology, you know, saying that he's going through another divorce and he's realizing that the problem is him, and would love to have a cup of coffee sometime. And I'm thinking, Okay, and at that time, I knew that he had moved over to in Georgia. He was in Savannah, Georgia at the time, and that's where I thought he was. And so I wrote back, and when I saw the email, I was very surprised, but I didn't feel anything. Like there was no
Mhm.
animosity. There was just nothing, and it was just a shock. Like, oh my gosh, I'm getting this freaking apology. And so fast forward, we go back and forth. I say, I'd love to have that cup of coffee when I get back home. I'm in Dubai. I'm going back to Dubai, but I'm flying out of Abu Dhabi on Friday. So I'll be spending the night there. Turns out he was in Dubai at the same time that I was. And he was going to be in Abu Dhabi that Thursday when I was getting there. So we end up having that cup of coffee. And I had not seen him in 10 years. 10 years. And when he came through the lobby doors, Clara, I don't even know how to describe it. I didn't feel any emotions except grateful to see a friend again. And it was just such a healing, very healing moment. And I'm getting emotional because it was such a God thing.
Yes.
I mean, who would have thought? December, I'm having a boohoo moment. And, we connected in Dubai and we had a wonderful lunch. We had a 3 hour, 4 hour conversation that day, but it was closure for the both of us. Right. And so now he's one of my best friends. I mean, we're still great friends. He's got a partner and kids. And it was just so miraculous for the both of us. So letting go, the
Yes.
power of that. It's
Let
just
it
not
go.
that one relationship. It can be everything. And that's what I think just blows my mind even today.
But you call him. I think you call him, and the other guys too, because if you see it, you wanted forgiveness from him, but what happened is that everyone wanted to give you the forgiveness to let
Yeah,
go too.
yeah,
It happened when you tell God what you wanted,
yeah.
what you need,
And I
what you
and I
needed.
didn't, yeah, but I don't think that I didn't say that I needed it because I didn't need it. I didn't need
Okay,
it anymore. It was the release of needing
the
it.
release. Yes,
Yeah, and that's what I realize in manifestation now. It's not in asking for it that it's powerful. It's in the release of not needing it.
release.
Yeah, you want it, but can you release it to God to show up when it's right? you know and so the power really, for me at least, in this instance, in letting go, is when I didn't need any more apologies. I didn't even think about it anymore, and that's when they started to show up. And so, and not even realizing that I needed to let go of all those other apologies as well, I think was the revelation for me. But feeling that, because even when they came back, and wanted to reconnect from my past, it was like, no, I'm done. I'm done
I
with
don't
that
need the
part.
past.
Yeah, it's like,
I don't need
no,
the
I'm
past.
done.
I'm in the
Uh,
present and in the future, and I'm in my
yeah,
present.
and I
No.
wish you well. I God bless you, and I wish you well on your way. But I'm not that same person anymore, and yeah, just being able to move on.
Yes, because when you transform, you are another person.
Yep.
You're not your past. You're
Yeah.
your present.
Well, you're
Yes.
not holding on to the story, right?
Yes.
You're not
Yes.
holding on to those
Stories.
past stories. And
Yes.
when you hold on to that past story, you're keeping that identity. And
Yes.
so when you release that, when you're releasing that story, then you're able to, live a completely different life and make totally different decisions and not feel attached when people from your past or circumstances or experiences from your past might trigger you. Even you can feel it when you've actually transformed.
Yes, of course. I know that too. So, do you want? to give a last message to our audience today because it was amazing. This interview was amazing. It helped us, me too, to know a lot of things about Tilde. I only uh, saw her on the internet and saw her in WhatsApp, but I didn't have actually a first interview with her. But we will have a lot of interviews. I know that. I know that.
I need to interview you.
Okay. That's right. That's right. Because we have stories that makes us and transforms us in another being.
Yeah.
That's right. So
You
I
know,
I I love your story today because it makes us have hope, have faith, and that's inspiring. That's inspiring, and you inspire all the people of the world where you go or where they see your stories and everything.
thank you.
So, do you want to give a message to our audience today?
Uh, there's so many things I would love to say. Just know that you're not alone
Hmm.
ever. There's a lot of people that suffer. And gosh, I'm feeling it like almost the collective. I'm very empathetic.
Yes.
Um, I gave a TEDx talk a few years ago, and I created a program called the Divine Quotient that leads people back to their true identity, which is, believing that you're a spiritual being in a human body having a human experience. And I left people with a question during that talk. And the question is, with the divine quotient, intelligence quotient, you're asked a bunch of questions, to determine your IQ, you're asked a bunch of questions to determine your EQ, your emotional intelligence
Yes.
and things like that. With the divine quotient, I came up with one question. And that is, if what you believe to be true, if your life is a reflection of everything you believe to be true, in what or whom are you placing your faith in? Because that's how you show up. And so the two options really are: you showing up from love or are you showing up in fear? And your life looks dramatically different when you learn to show up from that place of fear. And not that you're not going to have, or from that place of love. And it's not that you're not going to have fears, but love always overcomes fear, always. And so I leave your audience with that. You know, how are they showing up in the world, and what does their life look like? What does it reflect? Is it love or is it fear right now? The great thing is you can always start to make different choices today.
So, where can we find you? Because this is amazing. So, our audience would like to know where can we find you in social media?
So you can find me on iamtilde.com. That's my website. You can also find me on LinkedIn as Tilde Guajardo. You can find me, gosh, Instagram. Instagram, I think it's I am Tilde, um, or Tilde Guajardo. You can find me whichever. I'm on TikTok as I am Tilde. I'm on Facebook as Tilde Guajardo. I'm everywhere. Just Google Tilde Guajardo and you'll see. I'm on YouTube. We have tons of videos on YouTube that you can watch of the interviews that I've done with other women, and them sharing their own brilliance with the world as well. So yeah, just go, and you can reach out to me at tilde@womanarch.com. I do some one-on-one coaching a few times a year, but I also have an upcoming program that you can, sign up to know more about at iamtilde.com. And that program coming up. I also have a free masterclass on the website if anybody's interested in that. But the new
Okay.
program that's coming up is all about, healing yourself and learning how to do that.
Well, that's powerful, like your programs. So you are right now giving all the coachings online. Yes,
Correct.
everything
Yeah.
is online.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So we're going to see more of Tilde Guajardo here in Centro Clara Govela, and it's a pleasure to have you here. And all the messages, the positive messages you gave us today are amazing, amazing. And thank you for opening your heart today too. And for me, it's an honor to have you here. And I'm practicing my English because it's a little rusty.
Oh, I have to practice my. You have to help me with my Spanish.
Yes, I'm going to help you with the Spanish. Okay, don't worry
I would
about it.
love. I tell you what, my vision is to present in Spanish one day, and so I would love your mentorship with that.
Okay, okay. So I will love your mentorship with English because I have some work in English, but I have to practice so I can
I
get
know we
it
were
right.
talking about that before we came on camera. It's like it's
Yes, yes,
practice, practice, practice.
practice. Yes, but for me, it's an honor to have you here and to have this interview. And we will see you soon here in Centro Clara Govela again. If you like, we can talk a lot of things here because it was a short interview, but we can have a bigger interview about your life and everything so people can know you and can see what you're doing, all your programs, all your things that you do, and I love them.
Thank
So
you.
see you. I'm your friend Clara Govela. Soy tu amiga Clara Govela and your friend Tilde Guajardo. Bye.